This is a brief overview of the program that I'm putting together on PozYoga.com. And I wanted to do this video for those of you who are interested in just knowing a little bit more about why yoga is helpful and how yoga for people with HIV might differ from just a standard yoga class. And in a lot of ways, it doesn't differ. There's a lot of evidence that yoga is really helpful for HIV and for various other conditions that we deal with as HIV positive people. But just to go back to the crux of the issue that we are facing as we are aging with HIV. The big thing that we deal with is chronic inflammation. And over time, as people are living longer and healthier lives with HIV, medicine is discovering that we tend to deal with age-related things much more quickly than the average population. And this is due to this chronic inflammation that the virus creates in the body. Even if you're undetectable, even if you've been undetectable for years, there's still low-level activity of the virus in the body, which creates chronic inflammation that causes us to have earlier onset issues like heart disease and diabetes and neurocognitive disease and kidney issues and certain types of cancer and not fun stuff. So what I wanted to do in this program is really, first and foremost, try to create a program that addresses that chronic inflammation. And yoga has already been proven, just a general yoga class, any old yoga class you go to, is really great at reducing inflammation because yoga tends to be really great at reducing stress. And stress hormones and cortisol levels are greatly reduced by doing yoga practices. And cortisol is the big thing that creates inflammation in the body, among other things, but it's one of the big things. So the reason that yoga really helps with reducing stress is because unlike other forms of exercise where it's just sort of all movement, you show up to the gym and you do a quick workout and then you shower and you're out of there. And a yoga practice, typically you start off with a little bit more centering and something a little bit more meditative, even if it's just stopping and closing your eyes and feeling your body. And as well as focusing on the breath. And then depending on the type of yoga class you're doing, there's often a lot of rigorous movement like you might experience at the gym through different forms of exercise. But then at the end of the class, again, you come down and have those more mindful aspects of the practice. And the combination between the mindful aspects and the movement really helps the body learn how to deal with stress. When we're in sort of a stressed out state and sort of the fight or flight state, that's somewhat similar to what we experience on a physiological level is when we're really working out, when we're running and sweating and having a more, say, rigorous yoga practice or running on a treadmill. And then the calm state that we experience, the parasympathetic nervous system, is where we go and at the end of a yoga practice, when we're really just sort of stop in a shavasana or just, stop after we've moved a lot and we take a little time to meditate. So those parts of the practice, the mindful aspects of the practice are so important at reducing stress. And I think a lot of times when people are taking classes online, they might want to just skip past that part of the practice. Once you finish moving, once you finish stretching, doing all your sun salutes, as soon as a shavasana starts, if you're doing an on-demand class, a lot of people just, cut out and leave. But that's the part of the practice that you really don't want to skip over, because after you've done all that wonderful work, to just stop and slow down like that just has tremendous benefit at reducing stress levels. So And the other reason the movement's really good for those of us with HIV, the reasons the more active parts of practice is good, is because movement really helps to stimulate the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system, unlike the cardiovascular system, doesn't have any pumps. So the only way we get the lymphatic system moving, which helps the immune system, helps to clear out toxins in the body, the toxicity of the meds, for instance, the only way we get that system moving is through moving our body. So, so those two parts of yoga, the calming aspects of practice and the active aspects of practice, really make it a perfect form of exercise or practice for us to do as people who are living with HIV. And there are some other issues I wanted to address too that are common issues with people with HIV. Anxiety and depression are big issues, and that also relates to the chronic inflammation that we experience from being HIV positive. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that inflammation in the body can create anxiety and depression, so it's not just all in your mind. Those of us with HIV tend to have much, much higher rates of anxiety and depression than the normal population. So yoga, again, is really amazing at helping anxiety and depressions, and for much the same reasons I just discussed, and helping the stress hormones in the body. Issues like peripheral neuropathy, yoga has been shown scientifically to help with that. I think part of it is just the way we move our muscles around and move every little muscle and joint in our body when we're doing a yoga practice, it really helps to sort of innervate different parts of the body and bring different parts of the body alive. So if you experience peripheral neuropathy, one of the best things you can do for that is just really focusing on, in a yoga practice, on focusing on your hands and your feet and the movement there. And the more attention you bring to that, the more blood and oxygen you bring to those areas, the more it helps to alleviate those symptoms. And the last thing I wanted to discuss is the possibility that yoga could help with lipodystrophy. And there haven't been any direct studies on this, but there's an anti-inflammatory hormone in the body called adiponectin. And if having low levels of that hormone relates to type 2 diabetes as well as cardiovascular issues. And also it's most implicated in lipodystrophy. The people with HIV tend to have about half the level of adiponectin, sorry, it's a mouthful, than a normal population. People who like lipodystrophy tend to only have about a quarter of that. And yoga has been shown to increase that hormone in the body, a regular yoga practice. It's not just a one-time practice, it's gonna be a quick fix. But people who have a regular yoga practice are shown to have higher levels of that hormone in the body. So it's just a hypothesis but I would love to see a scientific study to see if yoga does help to increase that hormone in people with HIV and possibly help to alleviate the symptoms of lipodystrophy. So anyway, I feel like I'm probably getting way ahead of myself here. But for those of you who are starting in this program, I just wanted to give more of an explanation of what it is that we're doing here, or how what we're doing here can be helpful to us. And I will give resources and references and links below, so you can read up on more on these things if you would like, so you know that I'm not just making all this stuff up. There's a lot of wonderful studies on PubMed, on National Institutes of Health, which is where I've been doing a lot of research around yoga and HIV. So yeah, that's it. Please let me know if you have any questions. Please let me know if you have anything to add. And yeah, I hope to see you on the mats. Thanks.